Hello, my name is Samuel, and I'm the second speaker. So to hit up what Riley said, he started off by saying that the U.S. has made $240 billion in all the tobacco industry, but it has only spent 2% of it on implementing an anti-smoking campaign. And that's actually just comes to show that raising the minimum age to 18, from 18 to 21 is not so big of an issue, because they're getting the funds, they're receiving the monies. Their settlement between the tobacco companies and the state attorneys states that the tobacco companies will contribute $500 million a year in efforts to anti-smoking campaigns. So the money is being given to the states, to the federal government to implement these programs, and it's not up to us or to the tobacco companies to regulate what it is. We have a settlement, and we give the money to them, and they choose not to implement it on it. That's because there's bigger issues and they needed the money elsewhere. So, and then the United States actually gets another $505.6 million in cigarette exports. They consider 2.4 of the world exports. So they're getting, there goes $1 billion of money based on tobacco. Also, the tobacco per acre produces $1,500 of revenue for the government, and it's their crop that has the most value, and corn is the one that they produce the more, and then the corn only gives them $300 per square acre. So the corn is not the one that's going to produce revenue for the government, but tobacco is one of their biggest agricultural on the eastern states. Also, he gave this policy that they would have to pay a fee, and then they would have to get a tobacco license, and then they would have to comply with a lot of different restrictions that by 21 they were able to smoke, but if someone was around, 25-year-old with a tobacco license, all of that, even I got lost through the process of their policy. That would just come to do that many other people, instead of following all those regulations, they would just turn to the black market. Just like we have a market for marijuana right now, where they can get a license, medical license, whatever. People tend not to do that. Instead, they just go to the black market. It makes it cheaper, as the government already makes more money than as the government actually makes more money in taxes than putting together the production, farmers, when it gets shipped, everything, even after the retail sell price, the government's getting a greater percentage of the money per cigarette pack than every of the other ones. So that would open a black market for the cigarettes, and also he stated that people just tend to smoke just out of pleasure, but actually a psychological said that people tend to smoke more because of stress. They use it as a stress reliever. And what other things do we know that people use as stress reliever would be drugs and alcohol. Smoking cigarettes, if you smoke 20 cigarettes a day, it would only decrease your lifespan. It would diminish it by 10 years in your lifetime. Due to alcohol, every bottle of alcohol reduces your lifespan by 6.6 hours, making it 30 years in your lifetime. So alcohol, that's already 21, has a bigger impact in you reducing your lifespan versus cigarette smoking that only reduces 10 years. So we're talking about reducing the lifespan of people. Cigarette, it's more beneficial than cigarette smoking for the stress, as a stress reliever is more beneficial than regarding into other anti-stresses like alcohol and drugs. Also in medical costs, medical costs, we've gone, they stated that there has been a that they spend like $240 billion in medical costs, and it's minuscule to the amount of money they get from tobacco. And actually, if you add everything up from what they make out of the tobacco industry, the states and everything, all the money they make in those settlements can cover all the medical costs, and with the implementation of the smoking programs. Also, something that it would hit them would be the economy of the local states who revolve, and their agricultural side is the tobacco industry. For example, one of the biggest states would be North Carolina, who are one of the top producers of tobacco. The tobacco industry traditionally has one of the most important industries in the North Carolina, and is the backbone of the state's and agricultural heritage. And by moving that on, it would also decrease jobs as towards the states. For example, in 1992, the U.S. tobacco industry employed over 80,000 people in 2,000 establishments. By 2012, due to all the policies implemented we have right now in regulations, this number has dropped to 40,000 people employed, and only in 1,900 establishments. That's a decline of 47% of people employed and 8% in establishments. And yet, and even though with the decline in tobacco production, North Carolina still holds 25.2 of the U.S. employments. So even with the decline of it, they still are employing the most. They hold a 25.2 of employment for the largest in the U.S. terms of establishments. So you can see that tobacco industry is actually also creating jobs, and they actually don't go to big manufacturers like farmlands to get their crops. They just hire farmers, and they give them a set of instructions on how to create the purest tobacco that they can to their farmers, and then just hire local farmers. Thank you.